Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I train people for improved personal and professional development, offering my assistance to those ready to develop their goals into tangible, focused, and achievable plans of action. And this podcast is one of the tools I use to accomplish my mission. Generally, when the timer hits 9 minutes and 59 seconds on this recording, you'll have a fully developed life lesson that you can take with you and begin to implement immediately. And if this week's lesson has a ring of familiar, then it's probably a reinforcement of a life change you've already started to implement. This podcast falls under the umbrella of my greater personal development efforts, all under the Your Better You brand. For more information on accountability coaching or to gain access to tools, tricks, and life hacks, visit yourbetteryou.info. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Now, here is this week's life lesson. I'm sure you have a lot going on right now. Trust me, I have a lot going on in my world right now. As we were recording this, spring began, I believe, 2 days ago, so the temperature may eventually feel like spring, so more things to be done outside. I am preparing for a lot of activities for the outside, for the family, for work, and for my personal, private, business type stuff. A lot of things are going on at this very moment. A lot of things are really pushing me towards an edge. And that edge that's not exactly the edge of greatness, more like an edge of grumpiness. So something that I have to always contend with, because I'm always overdoing things, is overwhelm. Getting the sense where I feel like I'm taking on too much. Now, the good news is when I deal with overwhelm, I don't usually shut down like most people do, which I think is a superpower. It might just be me bragging a bit too much. When I get to overwhelm, I get to a point where I can push a little bit further to get things down to hopefully bring it back to some level of normalcy. Except when I can't. Except when things get a bit too extreme, and then because maybe just stubbornness, I believe I can do way too much. I can get things done and will continue to work until I run myself completely down. I've been in those places before. It's not like I've done that on purpose. Although if you watch me do it, it seems like I have put myself there on purpose. It's mostly a matter of trying to save things and do a little bit more to get to a better place and when I can actually rest. But in order to get through overwhelm, I've done a lot of research and a lot of exercises to figure out what to do to help myself in those situations. And I am getting better. And for you, I'll present to you something I have worked through, or something I found and modified a bit to work for me. And I'm going to give it to you my way. Some things to do when you're dealing with overwhelm. These are 6 distinct things to do. And I'm not sure if I've ever rattled off 6 things in 9 minutes, or at this point, 6 minutes left. So we'll get into them. We'll go through them quickly and probably go deeper into the steps later on down the line in the podcast. First thing you need to do when you feel like you're dealing with overwhelm, you're about to be overwhelmed with activity, you're just too stressed out, is to pause. And I've dealt with that before, but essentially stop, take a breath, close your eyes, and imagine a peaceful place if you need to. But literally stop what you are doing and take a breath. Relax yourself, relax your mind, relax your body. Do whatever you can to let yourself know that the moment right now feels tense, but it's not as bad as it really seems. You need to get yourself back into a calming sense of the moment as best as possible to realize what's going on is happening around you or to you, but you are not a ball of anxiousness. Just things around you are making it feel like you are. So you want to bring your anxiety down a bit. Then you need to just focus on what you're working on at this very moment and get it done. Get one thing done that you already have your hands in, that you've already started. Don't take on another task because it's more important. Don't take on another task because it may get done much faster. Finish the work you're doing right now. Don't worry about what else needs to be done. Don't worry about who else is going to come in and give you more work. Do the one job you're doing in front of you right now. Get it done, and then you can deal with other things. The third step is literally dealing with other things. That's making a list of everything else that needs to be done and prioritizing it. Seeing what's left on your to-do list, seeing what needs to actually be done immediately, see what needs to be done just eventually, seeing what doesn't actually need to be done at all, that's just nice to have, or someone tossed it in there trying to get it passed, and seeing what you need to be doing and what other people can be doing. Delegation is a very important thing for getting things done, finding things that other people can do, should be doing, and can do much better than you in the process. And that's a good time to figure out who you can delegate to, because when you're overwhelmed, there's probably something out there on that list that someone else can take on for you. In the meantime, you need to schedule a break. So schedule a stopping point, schedule a way away from where you're doing, and take that break. Do not skip that break. Even if the break is as small as taking a walk around the corner or just sitting there and watching some YouTube for a little bit. Now, be wary of how much work needs to be done and how much time you can give up for that actual work, how much time you can back away and be on your break. But schedule more breaks in your process and make sure you take more breaks in your process. And that starts by taking a break now, getting your mind clear of where things need to go so you can really process all the things you've already prioritized and need to be done and prepare yourself to get them done. Now, start knocking things off the list one thing at a time. You've prioritized the list, so everything is done by what should be done first to what should be done last, what can be done immediately to what can wait a little bit. So work on what's immediate. Work on the thing that needs to be done, priority number one. And maybe that's a long-term thing that's broken down into many different pieces. But get to work on those pieces as quickly as possible. You know the priorities of things that must be done, so get them done. You wrap things up by just making sure you don't add anything to the list that come to you. No more requests to things that really are not your responsibility, things you really cannot handle, and things that are going to drive you back into your panic mode of stress. This is a hard thing to do for people who are high achievers and people pleasers. And of course, the combination are usually a great many of people who are both. Someone's going to come to you that's going to sound great that you think you can do, and it's going to add to your stress and overwhelm. Someone's going to come with you some sob story that's so great you feel just moved to help them with that thing, but you know you don't need to be doing that. You have your own priorities that need to be taken care of, so you should take care of those, and you should delegate things that you can really delegate to other people, not just force things on other folks, and don't allow people to over-delegate or force things onto you in the process. And if they do, remind them exactly how things are going, exactly what state you're in right now, and how much work you can actually handle, and if they want to really, really, really contribute to your stress and overwhelm. And remind them that you can probably find someplace else to go if they continue to insist on overwhelming you with extra stuff. All of these tips are simple. Most of the things I actually teach are very simple, but they're hard to do because the circumstances around life make them hard to jump into. These are 6 things that I am working on to do much better at. Trust me, the taking a break thing is something I hadn't quite worked out yet, but it's on the list as a priority to figure it out. I've gotten much better at prioritizing my work. I've gotten much better at backing away from extra things, being roped into extra duties, although some of them, when the heartstrings are tugged, do pull me in. And I'm really, really good at stopping and taking a breath and pausing for a moment. Because in those moments, there's not much I can do but stop, take a breath, and pause. These 6 steps to do whenever you're feeling stressed and about to be overcome and overwhelmed can help you get yourself out of it, or at least get yourself toned down long enough so you can see a path out of it. Start by taking a breath, breathing. Close your eyes and imagine something calm, something a lot less stressful to get yourself out of that instant stress. Focus on what's in front of you right now, the thing, the task, the stuff that you are dealing with at this very moment, the open task, not the one to the side, the one you actually have opened, that trouble ticket, and get it done. Once you've done that one thing, make a list of everything that's left that needs to be done and prioritize it. See what you can delegate away and see what can be chopped off the list completely. Make that list. That's the very most important part of this thing. Take a break after the list is made because you're about to get ready to get plenty of work done, and make sure you schedule in more breaks in the process of working through your list. Do the top thing on the list, the number one priority, work on that one and make sure you have as very few distractions as possible as you do it. And then don't add on anything else to the list until you've completed a good chunk of it. Overwhelm can't always be avoided, but it can be managed, and using these 6 steps can help you find a way to manage the next time you are overly stressed. Thank you for tuning in for this week's edition of the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. As always, you can find information about this podcast and its sister podcast, Steps to Your Better You, at the website yourbetteryou.info. Both these podcasts are long-standing. This one happened to have a name change or so in the middle of the way, but these are both podcasts that have, well, plenty of mileage, if you will, plenty of back knowledge, and they can often offer great things for you. Steps to Your Better You in 90 seconds, and this one, of course, a 10-minute life lesson you can take away with a big life lesson in 10 full minutes. You can contact us via the website at yourbetteryou.info or email us at yourbetteryouinfo@gmail.com. Email me to my personal address at jclevelandpayne@gmail.com or check out my main website, jclevelandpayne.net. Plenty of great things to come, so we're going to wrap this thing up pretty quickly. Trying to stay out of the overwhelm action right now. Trying to keep anxiety down by knocking a few things out of the way. So this thing directly is now done, and we can move on to the next thing. Thank you very much. Be back next week for another great episode of the 10-Minute Life Lesson, brought to you by yourbetteryou.info.